Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week of How I Came Up. My name is Sam Hill, and I'm your host. And this week, we're going to learn more about Walter Kemp III. He is a musician, a secret chess player, and then also just an amazing father. Now, let's get to it. This is How I Came Up.
My name is Walter Kemp III. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm a son and of a pianist artist. And his name is Walter Kemp Jr. Also, my mother is Ava, now remarried white. And when we came up, it was normal. I had old school. He was very old school because his dad, Walter Kemp Sr., is old school too, and he had all boys on that side, and my mom had all girls on her side. And like a normal boy, but music was always around. Like I didn't notice it was around because it always was, so that was life for me. My dad was, if not the best, but one of the best, not only in the area, but in the country. So very young, he moved us to New York City. And he had one of the biggest churches in Brooklyn with a pastor under Johnny Ray Youngblood. And we were there for a couple of years. And then my sister was born right before we left. And then we came back like in 82. And, for me, it was normal. He still, I remember days, he would put me in a suit. That was normal. I was over my grandparents. That was normal. Regular dad, he would, you get little fights down the street, you come home and got put back outside because my father wouldn't let me, quote unquote, be no punk. I remember those days. And then I asked him to of course play music. And a lot of times you do that because it's all around you. You're like, well, I'm supposed to play, dad plays. So he put me into the piano classes, which one of the favorite teachers I've ever had. I wish I would have kept her, but she ended up moving. And then my sister was in with me. She came after, and he was old school. I don't know if many. I think he even was old school as a teacher because when he came back to Buffalo, he started teaching back in the public schools, and he just He was gonna do it like if I got in trouble next door with Miss Raspberry, he gonna whoop my behind when I get home. It's like so. But he was loving. It wasn't always that vibe. And my mother kept a great vibe for us. And he would rehearse with a group he called Walter Kemp and Saved. He had his own publishing company out of BMI, and he would rehearse right underneath our where we slept upstairs, and he demanded us to go to sleep while he was rehearsing. But so you would kind of go to sleep to these sounds, and then I'm like any other kid. My dad went to Bennett, so I wanted to go to Bennett. I got into a law magnet program at Bennett. Any other kid, I wanted to play sports. My dad never was a sports guy. That's where we changed a little bit. So I played JV basketball. I ran track. I had a great high school life. Ran track, got a scholarship to college, and just lived a normal. Dad wasn't as famous to me as actually when I grew up and got into business. That's when I realized like who this cat really really was. And my grandmother on my mother's side played piano, so I didn't really realize how much the arts was like cultivated on both sides. I was just living life.
Hi, my name is Shamari James, co-founder and CEO of Equity Now Inc., nonprofit charter management organization to Legends Charter School. And our mission, we believe in expediting change. So we provide, as a charter management organization, services to Legends Charter School, so every single kid in our school receives a stock portfolio. It's not just enough to grow your wealth, but you also need to sustain your wealth. So we're fundamentally focused on ensuring that we are seeing that there is competency exercise with social and emotional learning within our school and in the communities that we serve. So now that you've seen and heard about Equity Now Inc., I hope that you're wondering, how can you help? Please visit us at www.equitynowinc.org to support us, to donate to us, to become a partner, or even collaborate. We're also on all social media at Equity Now Inc. We appreciate you. Look forward to working with you.
So I can say at a young age, I fell in love with music really young. I was quoting verses, I was singing, humming melodies. And then at 13, I really got into like playing drums because I was so into like percussion. And just because of the way life turns out and I wanted to be serious at running track, I quit music. I quit music in college, totally. I stopped playing everything. I went to Black College, Virginia Union University, VUU. Had a great experience there. Finished, I was mathematics major. I was also in the chess federation. Ran a few years of track and then stopped running track. And just grew up. In the midst of me quitting music, I became really, really into jazz. Like I'm listening to it all the time. I'm going to see it. I'm hearing that language. I'm also really getting back into classical music. So I'm doing this both things without playing any instrument, not really knowing the love. And then I'm having this reoccurring dream of playing in halls and overseas, me on the piano. And the funny thing about the dream is I'm not surprised when I wake up. It's not like I woke up like, man, that's crazy. It was like, oh, okay, cool. So that was happening. And then get finished, done with school. My wife, and it took me a little longer because then my wife comes down to Virginia, finishes hers, graduate at VCU. Then she decides we're gonna go home for like a year or two, then we move back. We just wanted to buy a home, flip it, and then have money to move back because it was a little bit more expensive for homes in Virginia. So we do that, and I come back to Buffalo, and it was like, to be honest, I started playing because I couldn't immediately grab a job. She was teaching in the Buffalo Public Schools. So I just needed to get a job, so I started playing at churches. And then like, they needed, I was playing drums, and then they needed an organist, so I slipped on an organ for a second. And then it just rekindled this whole fire, this like fire inside of me. And all of a sudden I was determined. It was as if in college, they, you know, I was being trained like, you're gonna, you know, this is the language you're gonna be doing, you need to be listening to. And then by the time, it was like an applied science application. Like by the time I got out of school, of course I'm supposed to be going on, I had some accounting positions I was going after or going back to school. All of a sudden I'm playing music and I'm diving really hard into it and just never looked back, and just started getting different teachers and mentors from here, like professionals, just to go sit under. Bobby Jones would be one. I know George Caldwell came back. So those were the cats. Even cat like Wade Hawkins I sat under. And I would just watch him in the corner. So yeah. Some of the struggles and some of the decisions that I had to make was, my wife wanted to come back to Buffalo because she was so, her family was so close. At that point in time, my family was going through a little bit of everything. My dad was remarrying, my mother was remarrying. So I was like, oh, I'm okay. I'm fine in Virginia. And she was like, no, I'm going home. So I had to make a choice. And she's my girlfriend at the time. I said, well, if we go home, can we flip the house and buy a house and come back? And at first she's like, let's see. When we get there, of course, if anybody that has been somewhere a little while, like 6 years, and then moved to another place, it takes about 2 to 3 years for you seriously to adjust to anywhere you move. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you say, I'm going to the best place in the world. It's an adjustment. So in that adjustment period, my wife was like, oh yeah, we got to get out of here. You know, your first reaction is we got to go. And we hung around because we were buying a house, and then I proposed to her. So now it's a year, and another year. So now when I proposed to her, we're like, okay, let's fix up the house a little bit. Well, in a year she gets pregnant. Well, hold on a little bit. And then her mom gets sick. So now it's like, okay, are we gonna go back or not? We had this serious kind of talk. And I was like, well, by then I'm really kind of getting into music in Buffalo now. So now I've gotten kind of into the scene here. It's like, and then I said, well, I can travel anywhere. It's so inexpensive in Buffalo, you know, and I have been able to travel all around the world. So I'm like, man, I can just get on a plane from here. And at that point, I had been several times back and forth to Virginia to see friends. Me and my wife at that time were showing dogs. Dog breed. We were doing everything. We just living up life. And I slowly, that struggle became an opportunity. Actually coming back to Buffalo was the best thing, because at that time we didn't realize in 2001, Buffalo stopped losing people and started gaining people. We come back to Buffalo in 2002. We catch it on the bottom. We swoop up our house in North Buffalo, very, very inexpensive, and then everything starts to go up. But we've already caught on to the trend. We're blessed. And it was like, oh no, we ain't leaving now. That house is, a triple, double, and quadruple. So we just hung in there.
If you've been hurt in a car accident, call 716-390-9592. Our lawyers can help you get money. Had your civil rights or contract rights violated, stopped or wrongfully detained by the police? Call us now, 716-390-9592. Got an issue with your landlord or tenant? Call us now, 716-390-9592. Call RHM Consulting, 716-390-9592. That's 716-390-9592.
I'm Rashid H. McDuffie, and I approve this message.
Virginia, if anybody knows, is 108 miles outside of DC. So I was going back and forth. I had a great chess nucleus there. One of my great mentors' friends was a guy we called D. Still is to today. Came to my wedding and everything. We keep in contact. He is old as my mom, but he ain't treat me. He was the cat to teach me everything: how to sip bourbon, how to smoke cigars, how to just just keep that swag, right? And he did everything with swag, even riding bikes and cycling. So that being said, I started playing him, and I was just getting good. Got into tournaments, and I started making like state news. Because I would have a low rating, but I would go against like masters, and I would smack them. And then I had this like street kind of thing. Well, because we were playing coffee houses in the back of restaurants that weren't sanctioned. And it was like, you come to Richmond, we're gonna smack you. And it was like a team of us. And it kind of got this thing going on. And then we would go up, and it was other black IMs and masters. It was this cat that died called Emery Tate. Woo! Emery come on the scene, you see Grand Masters tripling. And it was a bruh, and he would do the most unorthodox, but it was like, I don't even know how to say it. It was like Mike Tyson in his prime. Like, you know how Mike come in real quick, whop, boom. It was so to see this happen, and then you would watch the games. You would fellowship with the brother. You would talk to him, and then there was other cats like some African brothers that lived in DC, and you just kind of get used to seeing each other. And it just cultivated a great relationship to where I wanted to start a chess school. So I was like, cool, you know, I'm gonna become a master. And then when I become a master, I'm gonna start a school. And, you know, I'm gonna teach like inner city, because Richmond was like 58% black back then. So I was determined, like, I'm gonna give them this type of discipline that I don't see a lot of us in. And so that was my focus. That was even my focus when I moved back to Buffalo, and then the gears just switched, you know. I have a trio called the Walter Kemp Trio. It came out on the Blue Jazz label out of Chicago in 2016. It did well on the college charts and the ads, and it was out all over the nation and out in Hawaii. We did 2 tours of that, and I had Rashawn Odell on bass. He's with Brian Culberson right now. And I had David Jonathan Teaspoon Hewlett on drums. He's got a great album called 400 out right now. That's getting national reviews and looks. And then we did a collaboration tour with Scott Tixier. He is a fantastic Black French violinist who's on everybody's stuff right now. He did some stuff in the movie of Five Bloods. He did Lion King. I think he did John Wick. I believe he just did Coming to America. Good friend of mine, and we did that tour. That friend is also in this group called Kemp and the Revelation, and that is an ensemble that is Afrofuturistic. It is Black music. It is free music. It is the evolution of American music. And in that, of course, is Scott Tixier. I also got a award-winning saxophonist out of New York City by way of Baltimore, Brent Burkhead, who's killing it. He's doing woodwinds and alto sax. I have Steve Bachkowski, who's all over the free world. He is doing baritone saxophone and other various instruments. I have Indian killer percussionist called Ravi Padmanabha, and he's on a label right now. I think he just dropped something out in Europe with another cat doing some free music. I also have Curtis Lavelle, quote unquote Zoe, killer vocalist. I haven't heard anyone quite like her in the scene, period. And of course myself. And we bring this music together, and we were really spawned by a mentor of mine, Ray Scott. He was part of the Sun Ra Orchestra and the legendary orchestra, and he passed on, but he taught me how to go on tour. We did some clubs in New York. He taught me how to go overseas. He taught me how to go overseas and bring my family over, how to keep family together while you're touring as a musician. And he just gave me the game in the jazz world and in the secular world. And when he passed on, we did a concert. And from there, this whole project spawned off. You see so many times brothers and friends and peers, they on the road and they're like, the family is torn up, and you're trying to balance that, because, you know, my wife is like my rock. She's my manager. She's the woman behind the curtain, and beyond the best friend, she's like part of my body. Like if I lost her, I would lose myself. So I don't want to ever do something that she's so much a part of and then lose a part of me. So going on tour, I've always, maintained that balance of home. And so I went on tour with Van at one time, and he had me going out on some dates. And I've been over to Africa. I've been to Egypt. I've been to Amsterdam a few times. I've been to Germany, Dortmund, and I've been to Switzerland and up in France. Now, on my tour with my own band, at that time I was with Groovology as a leader, I took my wife. And that was a fantastic experience. If any musician has taken their wife on tour with them, that reduces the stress level. Some of them probably enhances, but mine, it reduced. And we had a ball, and she really got to see what I did. And she was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely for real. And we moved forward. And from there, I started doing dates in the city, Philly, South, restaurant. I've done Rex 3 or 4 times. I've done Cleveland. I've been out west, LA. So, and I was out there at NAMM. I got an endorsement through Viscount Organs. And then they had me come out there and represent them at NAMM. So and my wife, even when we were on tour with Scott Tixier, she would make sure she's with us right at every step. Okay, your check-in is at that time. I call the hotel and let them know you won't be checking in at this time. You got to go straight to the gig and do the sound check, and then you're gonna check in at the end. She's working it. And the crazy thing is when anybody I'm on tour, Brent, anybody that comes and we're doing a project, and we just did this Revelation. We did a 2-day recording here. I brought him here, Buffalo. I did live recording inside the studio. I brought an audience in the studio, and then I did a live recording in Hall Walls. Everybody got to know my wife and was like, yo, she's dope. And she makes sure that flights are going in and out. And it's not like she's calling you with an alarm. It just is running smooth. And having her involved and having my kids being around, and I think my kids are having the same reaction that I had when I was younger, because they don't really see no difference. This is how they grow up. This is like, Dad still want me to clean this room. Dad's still on me about leaving stuff in the middle of the floor, and I got dishes tonight. But Dad also was there taping me, because my oldest is at Performing Arts, and she played piano, and then we overdubbed the bass part. She did over it, and then I put it together and said, all right, hand it in. It's still that vibe. We create balance, and to have family and go and tour and be a musician, because you're already different as a musician. Your emotions run high. You, as an artist, you have to create balance. And my wife and my family, they give me balance, especially in 2020, because I was sitting at the crib. So I needed balance, you know what I mean? I'm adjunct professor at Villa Maria College. I had an album that was top 20 on the college jazz charts with Robert Glasper and all the other jazz cats. And I was a top 5 ad. Also, they love me in Hawaii. I did a commercial out there for them. I've won numerous awards regionally, and while in Buffalo and this Western New York of pianists, of keyboardists, and my group has won, different awards over the years through that. I just push. I just push to make good music, and I'm not done yet. I've got a lot more in me, and a lot more to say. And this new chapter is a little different where I'm going. Being an artistic director of CMC Jazz Fest is one of my finest accomplishments. We brought in Cyril LeMay, we brought in Brent Burkhead, Scott Tixier, Brian Jackson. He was with Gil Scott Heron. He's that whole cat that does all that stuff. He's beautiful, dude, and he's such a mentor, like a big bro. James Brandon Lewis, who's doing huge stuff. He just got off Sony, and now he's on a different label and producing his own music right now. We brought in Francisco Mella, and a lot of these cats are up for Jazz Grammys right now. We brought in Simona Pramazzi. She's an Italian female pianist, absolutely fantastic down in New York. Otis Brown III, cat off, gotta get some of his stuff. He was a drummer for Esperanza Spalding, and then he did his own thing on Blue Note. Super dope cat, super good dude. We brought in the Baylor Project. That's with Marcus Baylor and his wife Jean. And Jean was in that famous R&B group. It's just a thing, Johnny, I believe. And they're up for a Grammy right now. We brought them in, and with some of these people, I was able to do some collaborations. So yeah, we've been pushing forward, and Buffalo in the Western New York is absolutely on the scene. You'd be surprised how many people come touring through here and just love it here, like strolling down the street. And of course, our own Zuri Appleby, we brought her. She's out west right now, and so what can I say? It's just been a great journey. Okay, I'm all over Instagram. I'm all over Facebook. I'm all over Twitter. You can Google me. I'll pop up. My ID name or username is normally going to be Walter Kemp 3, the number 3. Also, my website is www.walterkemp3.com. You can find all about me and Kemp and the Revelation Project. You can find me on Twitter, same username as I said before. Oh, on YouTube also, same username, Walter Kemp 3. Check out some of my videos and shout me out. Grab, I got a vinyl. Grab some vinyl. I've got a vinyl of a Walter Kemp 3.0. Came out in 2018 called The Dark Room. And then the first one in 2016 was called Dark Continent. So check me out. I'm Walter Kemp 3, and this is how I came up.
Maria, Radio Red Rocks, Red.
This is Addison Henderson.
I'm Danielle Jackson.
It's Ponzo Houdini.
And this is how I came up.
I'm the career change guru, Sam Hill, and host of How I Came Up. This season, we have entertainers, entrepreneurs, and educators. Season 3 of How I Came Up is going to be extraordinary. Now let's get to it. This is how I came up.